Hi guys, welcome to an interview with mom. We're gonna call this one-on-one with mom. Mom is Vivi Neal. A lot of you may know her from TikTok. So if you follow me on TikTok, you would be familiar with mom. This morning we were on TikTok live and mom was just sharing some aspects of her journey, as to how she became an educator or a formally trained educator. That's how she got into the teaching career professionally, as in studied and everything. And a lot of persons were truly inspired by that story. And we were asked to do an interview that I could place on YouTube so that persons could go back to it and that persons could share it. So here we are. So welcome, mom.
Yes, thank you. Nice having me.
So if you have been following me on TikTok again, you would know that mom used to be here with us, or she used to be staying with me for a little while, me and my family. But she has been staying with my sister for a while because my sister is ill and she has been her sole caregiver for the past few months. So we really tried to put together something. Well, I wanted to take her to a Mother's Day concert, and so she got the opportunity now to come for the weekend. So we're just making the most of it, and this came up. So we're gonna go into mom's story. So mom, this morning you were sharing about how you struggled to become a teacher, to become a trained teacher at that. So I'm gonna ask you some questions just to give you the prompts so you can give us certain details of the story and you can answer accordingly. Alright, so can you take us back to the year you first started teaching, where it was, and how old you were at the time? So you don't have to give us the year, it can be either or, the year or how old you were.
Yes, I remember the year was
Look at the camera.
Okay, the year was 1976. I was about 21 years old when I was given the opportunity to be a teacher at the Hamwalk All-Age School. This was a school where it was it was housed in the St. Mark's Anglican Church at the time, where all the classes were in the church and being divided by some blackboard and easels, and maybe one and two chalkboards separated the classes then. The class where I started was basically a class of low performers, and when I say low performers, it was a remedial group where we had about 15 boys in the class and 3 girls.
Okay, what age group were those children at the time?
It was a grade 5 class, so they were about 11 or 12 years old.
Okay.
And they seemed to be like big men, because being 21 is like they would want to even have relationship with me at the time,
Grade 5 students?
Yes.
Alright, so how many years did you end up teaching there for, and what made you leave?
Alright, I taught there for 11 years as a pre-trained teacher. Now, in those days, I used to hear they talk about PT and TT teachers. I didn't know what it meant. But then afterwards I realized that PT was pre-trained and TT was trained teachers. Now, I really tried to be a teacher even though I wasn't trained, but I was actively engaged in everything. And I don't know, but it's like being a pre-trained, you were given more tasks than the trained teachers, and you were expected to do so many things as if that would qualify you to be a trained teacher, right? Even though it wasn't. So you engage in sports, in concert, in everything. But then at that time, when the ministry, the personnel from ministry would come, they would put you in a category. So they would start from trained teachers down to PT. And then you would have some teachers who were estate, that is in service teachers. That means they were pre-trained, but they were being trained while teaching. So if you were not within those categories, then you would be at risk. Like if they want to lay off anybody, you would be that person. So it is always scary, to be that, and it's like no matter how hard you try, you're still a pre-trained. So it came to the time when they said, well, enough is enough. So they said they are going to terminate your service.
So when that happened, you got terminated. What were you thinking going home? Would this be the last for you as a teacher? What were your plans or your thoughts as you left?
Well, prior to that, they had given us an opportunity to, they call it, where you would go to college and you would do some subjects to qualify yourself, and then you would start the teaching program. At that time, I had my son, and it was so difficult to get somebody to take care of him while studying. So it didn't work out well for me because he was at a number of places, and it's like every time I would want to study, there is this baby come up before me and thinking that this baby needs somebody to help him. So I ended up not getting the subject, so I had to go back into the classroom, and then my service was terminated at that time.
So you left to get the subjects, or you were trying to get the subjects while teaching and you didn't get it, so they terminated you. Did they terminate you before or after?
I was terminated. I ended up getting one subject. Right?
And that's when they terminated you?
Afterwards, when I returned to work, because I was on study leave, so not getting enough subjects to qualify for the course, then my service was terminated.
Okay, got it. Alright, and that was at money at the time. So you got 1 year, so it's almost like they said, okay, you can't stay as a pre-trained, we'll give you the time to go study, get yourself in order, and then we'll take you back. But failure for you to do that meant that you would have been terminated. Alright, so when you got terminated now, what next?
Well, I had the passion to be a trade teacher, because my experience of being a PT was not nice. And I taught students who went to college, and I'm saying that how can I teach students and they go to college, and here I am just come out and people would say she used to teach and not qualified. So it gave me the motivation now to say, well, I am going to upgrade myself, right? So having the one subject from Manib, I decided that I was going to go back to evening classes, and I would upgrade myself, get the subjects required to do the teacher's course.
Okay, so at the time, how many subjects did you need? So you had one subject leaving Manib. How many did you need?
Well, it was 4 or 5. Yes, to do the teacher's course, the diploma at the time.
So when you started going to evening school now, you were doing all 4 more that you needed, or one at a time? And how long did it take you to eventually get the required?
I started off with 2, I started off with English and history, right? Because I could not afford to pay for them. However, the teacher in charge at the time, I explained to him that if and when I get the money, I will come back and pay it. So he said, okay, so I go ahead. He gave me the opportunity to attend evening classes, and I did the history. And the English, I'm not sure if I actually did the English at that same time, but I ended up passing the history. I actually did it in London
Go to
at
daddy,
the time.
go to daddy, whatever you need, go to daddy, please.
I'm trying to remember.
But even if you sat it though,
Mm.
at what point did you end up having the 4 subjects? How many years from you being terminated? How many years did it take for you to actually reach the point where you had the qualifications now to become
Alright,
a trained teacher?
I'm trying to work it out now that when I got the first one that was at money, that was about 83, 1983. Then it was about 87, 88 when I got pregnant with you that I actually got the second one.
So if we're checking from 83 to
83
88,
to 88.
that's 5 years roughly.
5 years
So you got
roughly.
one
Yes.
in 83 and 5 years later. Oh, and just to be clear, as she said, it was when she was pregnant with me, but in between that she got married in 85, and she also had another child. So I was the second with that husband, with her husband. That's my dad. So in 88 you got your second subject.
Yeah.
How long before you got your third? And that was history, right?
Yeah.
How long before you sat the third one?
I did the third one. That was about when I went to. It was still in the 80s or coming on to the 90s. Maybe 91, 92, somewhere about
90 or 91, you would have been pregnant with Dava.
Mm-hmm.
So you were studying while pregnant with Dava.
Mm-hmm. It's
Alright,
always
so-
been a case where
So it's only when you're pregnant you do a subject.
right, they give me
They give you the drive.
to
The boy.
study.
Alright, so you got another subject in around the early 90s thereabouts, and that would have made 3.
3.
And you needed how many? 4 or 5? So when did you get that final one, that 4th or that 5th one?
Maybe just a little before going into college. That was
And you went to college in 96.
96. So it was about 94 to 95
Before you got the
before
4th
we got
one.
the 4th one.
So between 83 to 93, that's 10 years.
Mm.
So we don't want to leave out anything. So in those 10 or to 12 years where you're struggling to get your 4 subjects, what else was happening? So yes, you got married, yes, you had children. What were you doing for yourself as a career during that time?
Well, I wouldn't say a career. I tried to be like a postmistress. I tried, like anything I would do. There was a factory nearby where I think it was Chippies, where they would look about like the banana chips, and I wanted to go there, and I was saying that I can peel banana, so I would go there and try to get some employment, but it didn't work out. So my husband now, who is a farmer,
Was
was a
because
farmer.
daddy is now deceased.
Yes.
So almost a
So
year
he was
now.
alive before he died. So he was a farmer, and by then his farm was miles away from where we lived. I didn't want that because for me, I think my place was in the classroom. But not having that job or not teaching again, it's like I was forced to go with him. And so like on a Thursday, rain or shine, I had to go to the bush with him. He would plant crops and he would reap and all of that. Some of the time he would burn coal and all of that, and then we would go to the market. Sometimes I don't know what I took to the market, but I had to go, right? So that was what I was actually doing,
During
right?
that
During that
period.
time. And then there was this time when it was in that same time where we started the basic school, where
You remember what year that was? The basic school I used to go to with you, well, it would have been somewhere in the
Brother
90s,
Smith.
early 90s. So basically you juggled a couple teaching jobs.
yes, like at the
Basic
basic
school
school,
level.
I did that.
So it wasn't required for you to be a trained teacher for that. So you were able to do
But I had the subjects,
Yeah.
and that would make me even more qualified than some of those who were there, and it caused some amount of envy or whatever, because I was more qualified than they were.
Like you're coming in to take their jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so 12 years down the line, let's fast forward now. So you take your 12 years and you get your 4 subjects, and we reach to the point now where you decide that, okay, I'm qualified enough, I want to go to college. How did you make that decision, and how did you finance it? People, I know the answers to all of these. I'm asking the prompts for your benefit. So-
Yes, so like I said, I felt so good over that time frame getting the subjects, and I felt like, like a kite just being up in the air now that
Boss way.
I have these subjects, and I have this thing in me where like when I'm walking, I walk with certain amount of pride and dignity because now I am qualified, and I get the opportunity now to be a trained teacher, right? So like one day I was coming from downtown and I came along Maraska Road, and I just by myself turn off at the Micro Teachers College, and I said I'm going to find out what course I can do. So I went in and was so, like so bold and brave and feel so good and confident about myself. And I went straight to the office, the admin office, and asked, I told them what subjects I had and what course could I do, and they said, well, you could do the primary education, and I said, okay. And I said, what do I need to do? So they gave me a form to complete. I took it home and I completed it and took it back. So when I went back, I had to do an entry exam. So I remembered clearly the number that I got was 345. That is to show you how many students were in the room already. And I felt like, am I going to get through with so many persons?
Do you know how many they were taking? Or
No,
how many they were
but-
accepting all of
No,
that?
but I got that number, and then they took me to the gym. That was where they were having the exam. So they gave me a desk, and I went and I sat, and they gave me the paper, and I had to write an essay. And I did write, and then at the end of it, I handed in the paper, came back home, and then they gave me, like the call. I'm not sure if they gave me a call or how did they do it at the time, but
I don't think it would have been a call.
no,
because
I
they
don't
wouldn't
think
have
it was a
phone back
call.
then.
No.
Maybe they would write.
So they gave me no. I think they marked them. I'm not sure. I don't think it was the same day I got the they replied that I did well. I think it was when they invited me for the interview. They told me that I did very well on the exam, the entrance, and then they're saying, but you're not rusty at all, man. So I wrote off the grades because I said I want to take it home to show you and how I did well and so forth. And then they called me for an interview, and then I went back for the interview, and that was one step at a time, right? Until when I was to enter the medical.
So you got accepted.
Yes.
And what next? Now you've been accepted. What is preparation to go to Michael like for you? What is it looking like? Where would the money come from? Because at this time, did you have money?
No, not even a red cent. Not even a red cent. All I had is like the Lord was saying to me that you do your part and I will do my part. And my part was to get the qualification, to be qualified. And I got a check from the MP, $6,000. That would have assisted.
What was the tuition at the time, just so they can have it? How much was the tuition?
Well, at the time it was when I actually reached, I discovered that the tuition and the boarding was $21,000.
And you had $6,000.
And I had
So you
6,000.
need to find another, what, 15,000?
No.
Yes,
Yes, I had to find $15,000.
So where you got that money from?
I ended up applying at student loan, and that was how I got the help and pay off like the tuition and the all fee.
Okay.
Right? But there was little in terms of not having any suitcase, not having what to pack, nothing at all. Nothing like that.
Alright guys, so that's the end of our interview for today. I don't know how we're gonna do more, Mom, because there is just so much more. But Mom has plans, and tomorrow is Mother's Day. So I'm not sure how much more we will try to get in. We can probably try to do another one tomorrow. I'm not sure. But I want her to share her story with you as to how she survived Michael for 3 years, having her family at home and everything, and some of the struggles that she went through, and then eventually how she ended up going to UE. So that's it for now. What time is it now? Too late?
Yes, it's now 4 o'clock.
Okay, so I have to take the kids to practice because they're participating in something for Mother's Day tomorrow. So I have to take them to practice. We will try to get some more time, but that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching. All the best. Bye guys.
Bye.